most of you guys are probably wondering what's up in the hood with these transits. If you did look to the 4 degree point, and I was talking to Giggle about this morning, what you might find is these subject matters are all in a similar energy. They're coming from different angles, but they're making a conversation piece. And so we are going to start seeing that there is some physical movement moving forward with Mercury station. Now, that's not to say we won't have some interesting times coming. We are moving into the full moon in Aquarius, which, yes, you can expect power outages and different subjects, which I'll try and go into a little bit later. But what you can find is that's going to be quite a bold point. Again, it is away from the nodal transition. We do have the true node and the mean node. So you can look at, some astrologers go for one or the other. However, the subject matter is coming up regardless. So, the first eclipse we're having is going to be in Leo, and that's going to be, I believe, by about the 12th. Don't quote me. I'll have to go back and actually have a look. But we are going to be working through these things. So with Saturn retrograde, how can you work with that? This is a time to really remap. This is a time when ideas and structures and trying to implement plans is going to come about. You're really going to be dissecting and deciding, what structures work, what routines work. And again, all of these placements are going to depend on where it falls in your chart, but you'll have the general themes of your life. It can be a lot of subjects to do with home and family were really coming up during Mercury retrograde. And it's funny because even when we do look to the economic astrology, a lot of astrologers were a bit dumbfounded as to the reasons why silver did not move as much. And I do still feel there is more coming through with the commodities and potentially over the next decade. So I don't think any of those things the like are over. I do think it is going to be a shift, especially with the way we view money and with the nodes moving. It's we see the likes of the World Cup, and the one thing I thought was quite synchronistic was I came across a short of Shakira, and really the energy of how sport brings people together. And she really went down the rabbit hole of talking about how that directly impacted her, and how that's become part of her life. She's done a lot of new songs coming through and really representing um, that, and big significant shifts have occurred. And so she wanted to use this time, in a sense, to make it more positive because of what the world's going through. And it was funny because I actually pulled her chart up, and she does have she's got Aquarius placements, she's got Cancer placements, and so the signature was very much the here and now energy, which did help me understand the signature, especially from both a psychic and astrological point of view. So I'm actually not surprised that manifested. Jupiter and Leo is going to have a lot of things to do with sports coming up. It's going to be sports. It's going to be the way we look after ourselves, and it is doing something quite similar to the way the North Node in Pisces at the minute is. Because when you look at it, it's a little bit like Cinderella and, getting to the 12th hour and the pumpkin and having to get home on time. A lot of people are firmly believing that change isn't happening. And I need you to really understand a lot of the placements in astrology and the 250,000 year cycle and of the likes and how these things are actually shifting. They are shifting. So believe you me, we're definitely moving through a shift and it's never going to be the same again. Now, that 12th hour theoretically is coming through more towards the end of August, moving into September, but we're feeling the likes of it coming through already. Mercury moving direct. We've done our emotional work. We're coming back up for air. We're looking at where we live, how we feel within our bodies, who we trust, who we align our energy with, how where we seek shelter and safety, and maybe what some of those circumstances are requiring of us to move around. And that can be with your kids, it could be with your physical environment, it may be just an emotional center, it might have been depending on if you're a Cancerian, it could have been a home-based environment, and how you process things. How some of you might have really gone really back far and looked at your childhood. And then it could have been a different circumstance. It might have been looking at old things and resurrecting them back up to reattempt to achieve something with them. So that could be old hopes, goals, aspirations, and going, okay, does that resonate with you now? Could you look at it differently? Do you have more courage and confidence? More than likely, that's coming through because we had Chiron and Aries, which is going to move back there soon, but it is sitting in the energy of Taurus. So it's a testing thing as the nodes move, and I'll mention why. A is because the complexity we had with the North Node and South Node at the moment is the fact that in the North Node, it was the 12th house, which is, it's endings, which is kind of a contradiction because it's something we need to focus on. It's something we're not good at. Could be the great goodbyes. It might be, does this spiritually align for me? Where is my psychology associated to this? Can I just go with the flow? Did I need to just go with the flow due to circumstances? And a lot of us had to let go and be dragged by the tide, high love, and go with that. And again, it would depend on where that fell in your zodiac sign, in the country you were in, and how that was directly impacting you. Now, the South Node is more the analytical mind, it's banks, it's data. And so we saw the likes of people that were in the banking industry or maybe working for the government, or, how the dollar's really transitioned with that energy in Virgo. And, we had nurses maybe losing their jobs or transitioning, or they were restructuring around the ecosystem of those fields. So, again, banking, office workers, people becoming redundant, restructuring of things. Now, that it's not that there's not going to be jobs in this next nodal phase. Oh, my Lord. My husband's just got home and my dog loves. Look at this. Shaba, what are you doing? It's it's over. Oh, go. I'm on the phone. I'll go in the office or you won't hear me. That's enough. Relax. Just relax. Show me. No, show me. 1 minute, I'll be back soon. So those things are going to shift. But what we are moving into is it's like you're balancing both energies at the moment. So with that balance, what we're still going to be unpacking till we get to the other side of September is going to be working through those processes, finalizing things, getting them completed, getting them addressed, and then having that subject matter of those new things that we are actually trying to implement, trying to bring forward in our life for that fresh beginning. So with that, as we are moving to the North Node in Aquarius, we're looking at connections and how we work together. We're looking at aspirations, and it's sort of like that Saturnian energy. So it could be your career, and it might be how you align with the group. It could be it could be refinancing, but again, it's how we work together as a team to bring people together. So I do see there's a potential of people feeling quite split and people feeling as though you're at the left or you're at the right, when really everything is really going to impact all of us. Now, how this is interesting is because similar to the current nodes, the coming nodes, it's having a conversation piece. The North Node theoretically is something we're not good at, and it can be a lot of countries realigning to different individuals. And we're going to see the likes of that moving from here into easy March next year. And with it, we have Pluto there. So we have the North Node in Aquarius, which can be recycling, AI, technology, space. And then we've got Pluto there. So it can be the recyclables, the renewable energy. But again, it's not just going to be that large subject coming up in your life. You're going to have your own individual thing. It could be suddenly you're looking at the economy and going, can I live with somebody? It could be working in larger groups, hippies, etc. So it's going to come through in subtle ways in your own life and maybe bold ways, especially if you have a nodal return, nodal reversal, you have a particular energy in those two zodiac signs. That is where you're going to be seeing. And this would really be a great time to pull your chart, have a look at where that is, because especially with the basket energy and how we're moving through this frequency, we are trying to chip away at certain areas to bring it full circle so it works, and you can actually do that. That transition there. Now, like I said, North Node Aquarius plus Pluto's going to be there. South Node is going to be Leo, which means we can't lead with ego. We need to be very authentically ourselves. It also can be to do with leaders, kings, queens, and Jupiter's going to be there. And already we do see some of the subjects of Jupiter cropping up in the media. So you might see the likes of sport being quite large, and we're going to be very keen on actually getting healthy, but not just at an egoic level. How we kind of relate to celebrities or hierarchical systems can be evolving, especially as Pluto goes out of bounds, and that is happening pretty soon. So I do think from August through to October, that's going to be pretty interesting, especially in that Aquarian energy. And really do look to that in your chart, because there are opportunities that we're directly going to be working on for this half of the year moving forward into 2027. And if you can do that work, you are technically positioning yourself for the long haul of what you're needing to achieve inside of your chart. So, could we see kings, queens, leaders, etc., by the end of this year leave, resign, level up, transition, and other people come through? A very distinct possibility. Also, with the Pisces energy, we may find that particular individuals, maybe that are very unwell, might transition. Um, it could be new rules and laws and transitions connected to the likes of beverages that you buy at a bar, or things that you use that aren't healthy but are pacifiers. So we could see some new rules and changes happening in that domain also. Any questions? Because my accent's shocking. I'm a bit sus, so it comes from a little bit of Kiwi, a little bit of Irish English, Turkish. It's everywhere. Short notes for your astro chart. Yeah, take a look at it, because yeah, as usual, probably since 2017, my chart's been lit up like a Christmas tree. A lot of health things coming up, especially on that Cancer zodiac sign basis, because where they're positioned in my chart. So reworking, rewiring, trying to actually deal with those things and actually deal with that. I tore the ligaments in my ankle, so I've got a bit of nerve damage at the moment. So I really do have to actually try and get the inflammation down so I can work properly. So, what do I see in the market? A lot of people are very, do you need to be careful? Yes, I would say, Joe. Always contact a professional. This is not financial or legal advice. But when I do look forward to the transits, notoriously what we do tend to find is when the nodes move into Aquarius, because it's a swap from the North Node being in Leo, where we have these, 18-year cycles sort of thing, what you do see is there's a downturn. Now, how could it show up? Recession, depression, hyperinflation, regardless, there is going to be that transition. Now, you could get, at best, a year's grace, or what we could have, which I do need to look deeper into the transits, what we could have is hyperinflation, which means everything's just super exuberantly expensive and your dollar just does not go that far. The one concern is where Mars is retrograding come the beginning of next year, and that especially from a movement point, we can see some contraction there or maybe an adjustment. So I'd really have some preparations made for January, February next year into March. When you do look at the lunar calendar, we tend to look at March being the beginning of the year, but theoretically we can see some slowdowns there. The other thing is when we do look at Venus retrograde and you look at the likes of the oil crisis, regardless, what you are going to see is there's going to be almost like where things were happening and they were taking a very long time, because the North Node is going to be in Aquarius and Pluto's going to be there, it's almost like we're on this fine line where we have to find this balance. So we've got to be very careful about going too far, in expansion with the Jupiter energy. And it could be resurrecting something old to create something new in a very positive way, and learning lessons and evolving, and having faith in the process that maybe you've learned something, you've upskilled and you've leveled up in that area and you're changing it. That's great. But the North Node being that Pluto's there, it's almost like there is this balancing that we're needing to do between the both to get that, that kind of healthiness where we can stabilize ourselves. Venus retrograde and Mercury retrograde, which are going to coincide. Again, it's making a similar storyline because they're in Scorpio and Libra kind of things. So again, we are looking at tax debt, legacies, inheritances. Yes, it could be the likes of oil. Maybe, is that transitioning? Is it changing? It could be at a collective level, we're looking at different ways that we can actually address those things. The systems that are working might be the rates and houses, etc. And what we're doing in our everyday life, especially because Mercury's involved. But that point, I would be, when I look at Mercury retrogrades and we do look at some of the things that are happening around the world, is we're about to finalise that eclipse energy with the North Node and South Node in Virgo. And so we did see subjects to do with water. And you can tend to find when we have a Saturn and Neptune retrograde, there's floods of situations coming in. There's things moving, almost like you can have it where it's direct and there's a gate, it's holding the dam in. And when it goes retrograde, the floodgates open. So it can increase circumstances that we need to address. We might feel like we're in a rush. We need to get systems and structures in place. It feels like it's all systems go. Had some revelations maybe about what isn't working. And now we're trying to quickly apply those to the here and now so it does, and so that we don't energetically slip over the cliff, so to speak. Once we move into that next retrograde, my warning would be what I have come to notice with Venus and Mercury is you do tend to get recalls. And so, depending on the zodiac sign it's in, you would want to look to the zodiac sign for subject matters that potentially could come up. Those potentially that we're wanting to sell homes, you might be running out of time, in my opinion. So, would this be, again, this is not financial advice. This is how I'm directly viewing the astrology and where I think potentials could crop up. If you're needing to do any paperwork, this can be the week that you can start moving that process forward. You could look at the likes of, discussing with a professional or lodging that paperwork and getting that process going. Say you were deciding to consolidate or you were wanting to get the ball rolling to actually sell that item. You really would want to get a leg up now, and you need to move pretty quick, because as we move through that shift and we have those final eclipse energies coming through with Pisces, you want to have achieved that, because then pretty much until next year, it's different. The whole ecosystem is starting to become different. The other thing is when it does come to the retrogrades and Venus, you would really want to, during those dates, keep an eye on the blog posts that are online. I'm trying to do them when I have energy and physically have them automated. So you get the information you have while I'm recovering. And where I can, I will try to do the energy updates. The intent is to be able to do energy updates, but again, I'm having some health things going on at the moment. So for that Venus retrograde, and because the nodes are shifting, what I would say, especially with Saturn and Neptune retrograde, is you would probably, if say you needed to fill your freezer and you were a meat eater, for instance, I would probably purchase that in September. And then after that, I would hold until next year. It sounds like a long bloody time, but you want to be clear of that Mercury retrograde and Venus retrograde, because what we can have is recalls or changes in price. And again, just pay attention to where you're living in the world and what those subject matters could be. So during this time, what we could have and what could be a risky item until we move into September and over, I would say mid-September, would be milk, cheese, baby formula, fish, what else? And yeah, sanitizing your water, looking after your water, boiling, etc., or whatever you need to do. Look at your local area, keep an eye on it, and just be aware of what the subjects could be. The other things that it could have been, let me think. Again, fish, chicken, eggs, birds, etc. It's in the astrology. It can transition. Some things could flow through, and some again, when Saturn goes direct, all those structures are going to come into place where we can have a more stable way of dealing with things for a bit till its next retrograde, a bit like a company audit. So yes, that mid-September point for those subject matters are going to be pretty key, but also trying to keep a little bit of money for yourself um, to help that stabilization. But definitely, I would look at the Scorpio Taurus areas of your chart, where they fall, what those subject matters are, and where you need to apply the energy. And that is between September, October, November, I would say. And if you can't, say you celebrate Christmas, each week put something away. Don't put that pressure on yourself because things are going to move. You are going to be wanting to do things that are more creative. You are going to have creative inspiration. Some of you can get super excited at the moment and very, very optimistic. And it's not, I want to damper that, but there is a potential by that Aquarius moon. There can be some parts that do shift a little bit to give you some more authentic viewpoints of it. And the other thing I find that I'm picking up energetically is a lot of you could be feeling like, how do you balance yourself and others? How do you fit in without letting other people down? So there's going to be this ethical feeling of responsibility to have this inclusion. So there could be this sway of how do you um, honor the truth of who you are without hurting other people? Does that make sense? So you're trying to actually balance that. Some of the pieces relating to the Cancer Capricorn axis, they're going to start adjusting and they're going to start calming down. And it could be a lot of forward movement now we're going to start having. So this could be a great time to actually clean your homes, get things in order, rest, recover, take note of the thoughts that come up in your mind and how you can arrange yourself, what your clarity is. Some of those timelines can come closer, others can be extended a bit, but nevertheless, with those particular areas, you are actually going to start having some forward momentum or directly behind the scenes doing the work to actually achieve that. Saturn and Neptune also aren't here to laugh at you or block you or prevent you from achieving your target. They're rather showing you the new version of yourself and what isn't working, and how you honestly can look at those things to make some tweaks so that you can have some more success there. So it could be initially a bit of a Debbie Downer, feeling very disheartened that you were off by a mark or you didn't really get where some of those things were. And again, it's the realism associated to things, but it's not when, it's not if, it's when. Okay. Any questions while I'm here? Any questions at all? I can't be here too long, but I just wanted to give you guys a quick PDF guide. So, the other thing is you're going to be able to tell when people are lying to you. Could it be paranoia? Some of it could be. Could it be that you are really seeing through, and we're going to have to get used to this regardless, down to AI, deep fakes, etc. How you're interlinking with your friends, and are they telling a porcupine? Are they projecting expectations? A lot of projection could be coming through, but we could be not even aware of it because of our emotions that we've been grappling with and dealing with through the Mercury retrograde and, the energy that was coming at us. I was talking to, as I was signing up for my therapy sessions at the gym, the funny thing was the lady was actually dealing with things and she goes, gosh, it's been so busy. And it was a day before Mercury was going station direct. And she's kind of trying to do her paperwork. And I said, and you think this is bad? If we think back about 1 to 2 weeks, The multitasking was nerve-wracking. I mean, it was one thing after another. And I mean, like I said, I got cancer in my chart. So for me, it was extreme. It's not so much it was the Mercury energy, it was the other circumstances happening around the circumstance simultaneously, like your emotions and your feelings, and trying to micromanage them and navigating through it. That were really testing, very, very exhausting energetically. Plus, we had the solar flares coming in. You might have had a lot of ascension symptoms where you were going on and off food. A lot of people are being really strict with themselves all of a sudden. The funny thing is, we did have positions in Virgo, which would have shown that we were more healthy eating, but it was almost like emotional eating was a possibility. A little bit like the placements in Taurus, but there were possibilities of wherever we were, we had that way to deal with our emotions. It was being brought up through that emotional experience. And I think some of it has actually shown us where those environments are toxic. And, I've had people that are friends, people that are family, and a lot of their experiences have really shown them what needs to vibrationally shift in their life. It could be an environment, person, place, thing, job. So, whatever that is for them, where initially maybe there was excuses or non-coherence to do with it, now they're kind of having a revelation that that's impacting them. Have they grown in resilience associated to that? I do believe so. But the other side of it is just because they've grown resilience, tolerance, compassion, understanding, maybe it doesn't mean it's healthy. Do you get what I'm saying? That, and again, that could be a relationship. Um, relationship, look, even spending habits, even eating habits, a lot of them are going to shift. A lot of people will be focusing on wellness because Jupiter is in Leo, so it's play, sports. The one thing I will say is with Saturn and Neptune retrograde, make sure you're warming up because you can be accident prone. There can be strains. Jupiter's there, so going too far. It's like just really paying attention, being cautious, being practical about your routine, and having your goals set so that you're actually achieving the target. Because you do have Saturn retrograde is going to benefit you, providing you're doing the work to restructure your life. If you're not, it's going to catch up with you, and as it's moving direct, it looks like a shit show. Do you get what I'm saying? So you got to move with those parts, not have too many attachments, have a vague intuitive energy of what you're working towards. Look to your chart. Keep an eye on the blogs. They're coming up on YouTube, Facebook, and the website. The website does have some extended versions. As I said, when I've got energy, I do tend to pre-schedule them so that you guys are getting the feed and the energy of what it is. I'm keeping you guys in the loop, in those areas. Well, last but not least, any questions? I will be hitting the road because I need to go rest, put my feet up and relax. So, have you noticed any attitude changes? Have you noticed any synchronistic patterns? Are you looking at your money, employment, friendship groups, home related dynamics? I would say, from a collective level, we all have been going through this shift. So, try to not get too hard into your prejudice that another person isn't going through it. It's going to be hard not to do that, but I highly recommend you don't because it is true. We are all adjusting to these circumstances. And a lot of us are really fed up. A lot of us are just it's like if we don't have this frequency and belief that something positive's coming, the danger is people losing motivation, etc. Okay. Yeah. And again, the focus will come up based on your charts. So even many times, we can look to our charts and we can be like, oh, I want to focus on love, but some other major subjects coming up in your chart. So it's almost like you're putting energetic pressure wherever it is. Make sure you know where these things are in your chart because you literally could be beating a dead horse. Meanwhile, there's another subject that's supposed to be addressed in your life and there's portals in your chart about when they come up. So it's important to know when they are so that you're not going into override of anxiety when that is aspecting at a certain point, but maybe it's something that you're not realizing. So you're putting so much focus and emphasis on it. It will naturally flow. Like most of these things naturally will flow. There's transitions in relationships we go through based on our chart. It doesn't mean to say you won't have a relationship. It can be, it's not the high focus. It's not the big, bold energy that's coming through at that particular time. Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm telling you, with Neptune retrograde, I don't know about the clarity. Yes, clarity did start coming in, but it's personal clarity. It's not external clarity. These are personal clarity points, and they will evolve, especially with Saturn and Neptune. Thank God I'm telling you that 2.5 years. Okay, it's there for a reason. It's there to help us. I keep trying to tell myself that structure, routine, perseverance, commitment, it rewards. As to where Saturn was previously, you are still going to get those rewards, especially as the eclipse moves through. Yeah, we're having a go with the flow. Keep an eye on that, the 4 degree though. Take a look at the 4 degree, what you have in your chart at 4 degrees, and pay attention to that area. An emotional sense, home-based subjects, because 4 degrees is the Cancer degree, it's the fourth house. Really getting those things in order, moving into nurture and nurturing those things you want to grow. But if you do need a booking, you can go on the website or you can sign up for the